So all of these guys are showing that you can not only make a profit, but you can actually change the industry as a whole, because you see the rest of the industry seeing what these guys are doing and trying to change the way things are done, if not even joining in outright, like Microsoft buying Minecraft.
Or jumping on the bandwagon, because I'm just seeing some negative things from it too.
Oh yeah.
We're kind of being slightly overwhelmed by games now.
That is the problem with having such open sources like Steam and like Desur, is that now everybody and their little brother can start throwing games at you, and that reminds me way too much of what was going on in the Atari 2600 era.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's strangely enough that it's the polar opposite. Like, we're seeing exactly what was going on with Atari, where you're seeing a lot of shit quality games, but you're not seeing the game community or the gaming industry at the brink of collapse. You're seeing them having growing pains, that's for sure, but we're not fearing that we may not see games for the next 5 or 10 years.
I think the internet has a lot to do with it, because back then they had to rely largely on word of mouth, and there wasn't really review magazines or anything. You found out after you got home whether it was a good or bad game. And in today's society, you can go all over the place, even on Steam itself, where people have been rating the games and go to Metacritic and stuff like that. I would not trust the gaming journalism anymore, especially from what I've heard this week. I won't get into that. But there's a lot more places where you can find out about the game. You can see more screenshots. You can see videos on YouTube as stuff in action. You
can go on Twitch and watch the developers playtest their game for you in alpha.
There's just a lot more access to information, so you're less likely to find yourself buying a $50 game that should have been sold for 20 cents.
Yeah.
Somehow we're back to the Humble Bundles again.
The Humble Bundles kind of go there, too. I mean, they're kind of helping chug it along for some of the really games that they're not crap, but you're definitely not willing to pay, $30 from those games. It's nice to bundle them in was one of the games that is worth the money.
I was always one of those type of people, at least when the stuff came in my area, where I was one of those used game buyers. I rarely bought full price games unless it was something I knew outright that I definitely wanted, and I wanted to make sure I got a good copy of it, or I wanted to support the games that we didn't see too often, like the Final Fantasy Tactics and the Disgaias and the Suikodens and those under the radar games that did not get enough credit for what they were doing. Not to say I didn't pay full price for other games on occasion too.
Garage sales and pawn shops.
But yeah, lots of used games, because being able to get a whole bunch of games for the price of one, and chances are you're going to play them as much as you do the big pricey ones. That's why I just could never bring myself to buying the full price thing. And I know there's a lot of people that say that the used game market is just another version of piracy, even though I don't agree with that.
That's bullshit.
It is true though. You're not giving the money to the company, but the company already got their money for that game. So it's not like they're losing money for a game that's already been purchased. It's already in the flow. But that is a person who wouldn't have bought it brand new. So I understand why there's some people that have some issues with it, but I don't see it as the same thing. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry.
No, I'm not sorry at all. I mean, it's like reading a book and then, someone else says, oh, that looks like a good book, and then you let them read it. Mm-hmm. And somebody wants to have the nerve to snatch the book from the other person, like, no, you must buy this, and burn it in front of them.
But you do kind of seen some of that behavior in the major companies, where all of these family plan type stuff, where they try to get you from purchasing so many of these used games by, hey, you can share your game with your friends. Granted, you have to use all these special guidelines and rules and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I see them trying to find ways of curbing it. But what's ironic is that announcement of GameStop was actually saying, hey, you know what? We're looking to being able to sell you used DLC. How does that work?
Ow.
I don't understand that one either.
That's amazing. How the hell is that even possible?
I mean, if somebody's given up the game anyway, and it's a digital copy, and it comes with the DLC, I can kind of see that. It's like, here's you a code to take back. It's coming off your system, so here's the code that somebody else can use, and all the stuff. So I can kind of see that, but the companies would have to be behind that. They would have to put in an infrastructure where that would actually work.
Yeah, they have to be willing to do it. And I've always had the thought that after a while, the company shouldn't be crazy about the profit for the game anymore. Like, just getting more people to play it. Still making a little bit of money, or just, I don't know, visibility. I would be glad to, as one of these developers, if I had enough money now, if I'm like at the brink of bankruptcy because of piracy or whatever, that makes people think of Titan Quest. But at least I know that when I release my next game, they're going to be like, oh, well, I borrowed or pirated or whatever the game, and they made it. I like that game. Maybe I'll buy their next game.
That's not the way I would want people to.
That's definitely not the way I want to see it too. But it'd be like if I published my book and found out that a whole bunch of people were were pirating it and reading it instead of buying it and reading it. I would definitely not be happy about that.
Well, that's what I come to terms with music a long time back, is when I first started posting things slowly on a particularly reputable site that was pretty big at the time. It's gone really downhill since then. But I got really great feedback from the people, and I was along some other really big artists there, and I was starting to keep up with them. And then I noticed all over the internet that these people had managed to take the songs off of this site and put them on their own. And I was kind of, but I wasn't making any money from the beginning. These were not songs that were being sold on like iTunes or anything like that. They were free to begin with. They weren't commissions or anything like that. So I kind of started feeling okay with that. And after I did that, I started spreading it out more. I started putting it on places like Voomi and YouTube, and I did a lot more jobs for free simply for the purpose of exposing the work.
It's kind of like when I went brain dead there when I was talking about the publishing. If I caught them pirating my stuff like that, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
But would I freak out on it? Because I've seen what happens when people freak out on the pirators and stuff. It doesn't work. All it does is piss them off more. Then they really start doing it. They want your blood. It just almost be like, hey, I see you guys are pirating it. Hope you enjoy it. If you want to contribute, go here. And if not, that's good. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Because, other people are just like, that's endorsing it, saying it's perfectly fine they're doing it. But screw it. If I could get even 10% of the ones that pirated to go ahead and buy it, that'd be good.
And that kind of brings up a strange anomaly, actually. Despite how all these companies are showing how piracy is destroying us and all this type of stuff, and how much is actually pirated, you can go on these torrent sites and look at the numbers of how many of these things have been seeded and downloaded. And that, when you start looking at that as like $30-$50 per pop, that's a lot of money being lost.
Yeah.
So I understand them getting ticked off. And then you turn around and go to these places like Kickstarter, and the other one just completely left my mind. But you've got these success stories all over the place, especially if you start looking at things like Star Citizen, who's like up to 62 million, wasn't? Or are they still in the 50s? But it's still ridiculous how much they have made through donations. This is a game that doesn't even exist. This doesn't exist, and these people are trusting the companies enough that they're going to make these games that we want, and they're getting money thrown at them. So if you have all of this going on, even with the piracy at the same time, we've got this weird anomaly of these people that are really willing to throw money at a project if it's something they really believe in. And then having people kind of slap you around for it in certain aspects. Thank you, Mighty Number 9. But at the end of the day, we've got games we actually want. And yes, they're going to get pirated too for the same reasons.
Oh, yeah.
But at least you've got people out there that are willing to support the product even before it's actually released, and I feel like I'm repeating myself now. Yep, I was in agreement.
That game, Star Citizen, from what it looks like, it's going to cost them a lot, but they have the money. They've been given to it by their players, so it's not really costing them much of anything. Except for time.
Well, yeah, they've got to keep their livelihood up. When you're working full-time on a video game, that is coming out of that money, I'm pretty sure. And rightfully so, technically.
Yeah.
It's not just the tools and materials, it's the time. You got to put food on the table while you're working on it, which is why I'm so sad that Card Sagas Wars will probably never get made. It's been in limbo for like 5 years. I've forgotten how long I've been waiting on that game. And for the many people that don't know about it, there was some spriter people that I knew back in the days who were just absolutely amazing with their spriting. Matter of fact, they're probably some of the most famous there is that were not doing professional work for some ghastly unknown reason. And they decided to pull their efforts together, get the Mugen engine, which is that make-your-own fighting game thing, and basically do a Marvel vs. Capcom style fighting game with video game characters from all over the spectrum. And they had a really solid, really amazing demo system going, but they didn't release it because they were having too many issues with the engine not being so open source that people could steal their work, and they were trying to find ways around that. And the fact that it took so long for them to create these characters and test these characters and balance them, and then they were adding all these summonable stuff that was just amazing. A fighting game with 3-wood Guybrush as a summoned character. Tell me that's not awesome. I think Etna was actually a playable character, if I'm not mistaken.
Really sounds like Mugen now.
Yeah, and it was all custom made, the backgrounds, the artwork, and it looks amazing. I actually tried to offer some free music work to them, but they never got back to me, so I guess it was just as well. They were using OCR stuff, Overclock Remix, so they didn't really need me, since that stuff was pretty much open source too.
It kind of sucks they just fell apart, didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. I understand it's still in production. They haven't exactly quit, but as far as I know, there's not been any new art or news or anything in a very long time. But there's about 6 trailers out there, so I'll be playing those in the background so people can kind of appreciate the amazingness that they had going.
Thing where it's almost just like you just want to tell them, hey, just put together what you have right now and release it.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, get some funding, and then you have more motivation. going.
That would be kind of like the My Little Pony fighting game thing, and the guy who was trying to make the Minecraft movie. You start adding funding, copyright stuff starts.
Yeah.
When you have a game that's featuring stuff like Ryu from Street Fighter and Master Chief from Halo, you're going to have a lot of companies going, now wait a minute.
40,000 different characters from about 40,000 different companies that will all want their little piece.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah, we kind of strayed from the topic a little bit, but I think it was entertaining. We talked largely about indie games and how indie games has affected things. So, yeah, pretty good little session. I think Mike is either really distracted or really tired, though. See?
Or dead.
Or he's had his mic on mute the whole time and he thought he was talking, we were just talking over. That's possible, too.
Oh, shit. Or he's asleep in his chair.
Poor fella.
Mike!
He's gone, dude.
Yeah, he's definitely not there now.
Oh, his mic broke, he says.
Oh, shit!
Well, that would explain why he's been so quiet.
I wonder how long it's been going.
But anyway.
Dick's talked right over me.
Sorry, Mike. But, yeah, might as well end it here since we're kind of falling apart as it is. But you can follow us.
Become more and more random.
More random? Isn't that dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
But you can follow us at Twitter at PrinnyCast, and you can contact us with email at PrinnyCast@gmail.com. As always, feel free to comment about anything that piques your interest, or if you have any ideas or thoughts or complaints, go for it. Just, make sense. Don't just say you guys suck. I can't use taps. Last time I used taps, we got flagged for it.
We got flagged for taps?
That was so stupid.
Oh, that's retarded.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
See you next time.
See you later, dudes.